I met Veronica about 8 months ago at a networking event. She was sharp, magnetic, always dressed like she walked out of a fashion magazine. She carried herself like someone who had it all together. Successful, confident, worldly. We struck up a conversation about startups and technology, and it felt natural. From there, we started meeting up occasionally, maybe once a month. Coffee here, drinks there. Nothing romantic, just two people who seemed to get along. At least that's what I thought. Looking back now, the red flags were there. She had a habit of suggesting expensive spots, then somehow forgetting her wallet or running into a technical issue with her card. Each time, I ended up paying. She'd smile, promise she'd get the next one, but that next one never came. I told myself it wasn't worth overthinking. Friends help each other sometimes, right? Then out of nowhere, she texted me last Tuesday. We hadn't spoken in 6 weeks. Hey stranger, miss you. Dinner tonight. There's this new seafood spot I've been dying to try. I told her I couldn't. Money was tight, and I was saving for car repairs. She pushed. Come on, my treat. I just closed a big deal. Let me celebrate with my favorite person. That line, my treat, was new. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The place she picked wasn't just nice. It was upscale. Valet parking, white tablecloths, waiters gliding around like they were performing ballet. She was already there when I arrived, sipping from a bottle of wine that easily cost more than a week of my groceries. Order anything, she said, practically tossing the menu at me. We're celebrating. She ordered like she was feeding a royal court. 2 lobsters, oysters, appetizers I didn't even touch, some exotic fish, more wine. I kept it simple, a pasta dish and water. Watching her rattle off orders made my stomach tighten, but I reminded myself, it wasn't my tab this time. Then the bill came. I didn't even see the number at first. She snatched it, studied it, and her face fell. Slowly, she slid it across the table. $523.47. We're splitting this, she said flatly. I laughed. I honestly thought she was joking. You're kidding, right? You ordered all this. You said it was your treat. I had pasta. Her voice rose instantly, sharp and loud enough to turn heads. So you're going to make me pay for everything? What kind of man are you? I kept calm. The kind of man who believed you when you said this was your celebration dinner. The kind of man who ate $32 worth of food while you cleaned out the menu. That's when she whipped out her phone. Split this bill, or I'm calling the cops. I'll tell them you invited me, and now you're refusing to pay. The entire restaurant had gone quiet. The waiter looked like he wanted to crawl under a table, but I saw it in her eyes. This wasn't panic. This was practiced. Call them, I said. She blinked, shocked. I repeated myself. Go ahead. Call them. So she did. Put it on speaker, too, probably expecting me to fold. She told the dispatcher I'd invited her out, that I was refusing to pay, that she felt unsafe. The dispatcher said officers were on their way. While we waited, I opened my phone and pulled up our entire text exchange. Her inviting me, her insisting it was her treat, every word in black and white. Out of curiosity, I searched her name online and found something interesting. Instagram photos, Veronica at different high-end restaurants, always with different people, always extravagant spreads. The photos would vanish after a day or two, but cached versions lingered. The cops showed up. 2 officers who looked less than thrilled about being dragged into a dinner bill. Veronica turned on the tears immediately. He invited me here. He said he'd pay. Now he's forcing me to cover everything. I calmly showed the officers my phone. The texts were undeniable. She invited me. She said it was her treat. I had pasta. She ordered the rest. The older officer looked at the bill, then back at her. Ma'am, did you order these items? We both ate, she stammered. The cop looked at me. What did you have, sir? Linguine and water. His expression changed. He asked for her ID. Her hands shook as she passed it over. He stepped away, made a call, then came back with a new tone entirely. Ma'am, you're under arrest. Her face drained. What? For what? You have 3 outstanding warrants for theft by deception. All restaurant-related. My jaw practically hit the floor. 3 warrants? Turns out this was her scam. invite someone out, order half the menu, then corner them with threats when the bill arrived. At least 3 others had pressed charges, and she'd skipped her court dates. As they cuffed her, she screamed at me, "This is your fault. You could have just paid. You ruined my life over money." I looked her dead in the eye. "No. You ruined your life over lobster." After they hauled her out, the restaurant manager came over. Turns out they'd flagged her the moment she walked in. They had her photo in their system thanks to warnings from other restaurants. They'd been waiting to see how it played out. My pasta? Comped. I thought that was the end of it. But the next morning at 6 a.m., I woke to shouting outside my apartment. I looked out my window, and there she was, heels clicking against the pavement, yelling at my building. "You owe me $2,000. That's what I paid for bail. You're paying me back." I grabbed my phone and hit record. My neighbor came out first, told her to shut up before he called the cops. She spun on him. "Mind your business." He snapped back, "It's 6 in the morning. Everything's my business right now." She kept going, ranting and shrieking, until property management showed up. Deb, the manager, absolute legend, walked right up to her. "Leave now, or you'll be trespassed." Veronica tried to argue, claiming she was conducting legitimate business. Deb didn't flinch. "Last warning. Get off the property." And just like that, Veronica had to slink away. At dawn, she was outside my building, screaming in the parking lot like a banshee. Nothing about it was normal or legitimate. Deb stepped outside, told her flatly, "Leave now." And once she was gone, I filed another police report. Same older officer from the restaurant case showed up, shook his head, and said, "She's something else. You might want to think about getting a restraining order." By that afternoon, things escalated. I got a call from an unknown number. Turns out it was her lawyer. "I'm calling on behalf of my client, Veronica, last name," he announced. He said she'd drop all civil charges against me for emotional distress and defamation if I wired her $5,000. I couldn't help laughing. "What charges? What defamation?" I asked. He shot back. "You humiliated her publicly and caused her false arrest." False arrest? She had 3 outstanding warrants already. When I said, "Tell your client I'll see her in court, and I'm recording this call," he hung up. That's when she turned to social media. She blasted out a public Instagram post using a still of me from the restaurant's security cameras. The caption labeled me a predator who lures women to dinner, refuses to pay, and runs some elaborate scam targeting wealthy women. The comments section exploded. Half her followers were furious at me. The other half were people she'd already scammed. A man dropped screenshots showing she pulled the exact same stunt on him at a steakhouse half a year ago. A woman claimed she loaned her $3,000 for a medical emergency and never saw a cent back. Within 4 hours, Instagram nuked her post for harassment. I wasn't done. I dug into those restaurant photos she'd proudly posted online. Found a dozen different people she'd wined and dined with over the past year. I reached out to 5 on Instagram. Every single one had the same story. A lavish meal, then the surprise bill and threats if they didn't split it. 2 had paid just to avoid public embarrassment. One guy forked over $400 when all he ordered was a salad. We agreed to meet and share notes. That meeting happened yesterday and it was surreal. 7 people showed up. Brett had been cornered into paying $400 at a sushi spot. Megan was guilted into covering a $300 wine bar tab. Diego coughed up $600 when she said her ex had stolen all her cards. Others had been threatened with cops. But the wildest account came from Tanya. She'd lived with Veronica for 3 months after renting her a room. At first, everything seemed fine. First month's rent and deposit cleared. Then her checks started bouncing. When Tanya tried to evict her, Veronica hid behind tenant rights laws claiming discrimination. It took 3 months to legally get her out, during which time she stole packages, somehow got Tanya's credit card number, and even attempted identity theft. "She opened 3 credit cards in my name," Tanya said. "And I'm still dealing with the fraud mess." We tallied everything. Texts, receipts, threats. Just our small group had been conned out of over $4,000. Brett had already pressed charges after our dinner blow-up. Megan planned to file this week. Everyone wanted to know next steps. That's when Diego dropped his bombshell. He had hired a private investigator. Veronica's not even her real name, he said. She's Bethany. She's got a record 6 years long. Fraud, theft, identity theft, check kiting. 3 states. Warrants in 2. The polished businesswoman persona was a complete fabrication. Scamming people was her full-time job. We all agreed to file charges together, show up in court, and overwhelm her with numbers. But she wasn't finished with me. The very next morning, my inbox had 67 emails from different addresses, all clearly her. Threats, insults, fake legal letters, even a laughable photoshopped invoice demanding money for emotional damages. My favorite was a bogus email pretending to be the FBI, claiming I was under investigation for interstate harassment over not buying her lobster. I forwarded everything to the detective. Then came the work drama. My boss called me in. Apparently someone claiming to be a detective had phoned HR saying I was under investigation for assault and theft. Luckily, my boss wasn't a fool. He asked for a badge number. The caller hung up. We reported it. It was obviously her, and by making contact with me, she had violated bail. Hours later, the detective called. She'd been arrested again at a downtown hotel under a fake name. They found 4 different IDs, my photo with big red X's drawn over it, and a notebook detailing plans to ruin 6 of the people from our group. This time no bail. Court came quickly, and it was chaos. She fired her lawyer, strutted and dressed like she'd raided a TV courtroom wardrobe, wearing fake glasses and clutching a briefcase. The bailiff later said it was stuffed with nothing but printed YouTube law tutorials. Representing herself, she ranted that she was the real victim, claiming we were all part of some elaborate ring targeting successful women. She actually said orchestrated persecution, with a straight face. The judge asked about her 3 prior warrants. She brushed them off. Misunderstandings, Your Honor. The restaurants got confused about who ordered what. I'm very confusing, Your Honor. The judge literally rolled his eyes. When it came time for evidence, she handed over a folder of screenshots, every single one pulled from her own Instagram. She always claimed that the photos of her eating at nice restaurants were proof she could cover the bill herself, so why would she need to scam anyone? The prosecutor quickly shot that down, pointing out those pictures were taken just before each reported theft. When it was her turn to cross-examine me, it turned into a comedy routine. Isn't it true you invited me to dinner? She asked. No, I said. You invited me. I have the texts. Those are from your number. They were doctored. How could I doctor texts from your phone number? You hacked my phone and sent fake messages to yourself. So, I hacked your phone just to invite myself to dinner. Yes. The judge had to call a recess because the court reporter was literally struggling not to burst out laughing. During that break, she cornered Megan in the hallway, trying to work things out like adults. Megan, who isn't dumb, immediately hit record on her phone. That's when Veronica offered her $50 to walk away. $50 for a $300 scam. When Megan said no, Veronica upped the ante. Fine, then I'll tell them about your drug problem. Megan, by the way, is a pediatric nurse who undergoes regular testing and doesn't use drugs. She told her flat out. What drug problem? Veronica smirked and said, the one I'll make up if you don't drop this. She said all of that in a courthouse hallway, on camera, with 3 witnesses. The prosecution added witness tampering to the list of charges. When court resumed, her public defender, yes, the one assigned to her despite her insisting she didn't want one, managed to talk some sense into her. She took a plea deal. 18 months in jail, 3 years of probation, restitution to every victim, and she had to register as a fraud offender. That's actually a category in our state. Before signing, she screamed about how we had ruined her life and promised to get back at all of us once she was out. The judge immediately tacked on another 6 months for making threats in the courtroom. Outside, the prosecutor pulled us aside and revealed they had been compiling evidence against her for 2 years. She had at least 40 victims that they knew of. Our testimony was the final nail in the coffin. And those warrants she had in other states? After serving her sentence here, she was going to be extradited to face those as well. So I thought that was the end of it. She's behind bars. I've got a restraining order. Case closed, right? Wrong. About a week ago, my mom got a message on Facebook from someone pretending to be my aunt. It said I was in jail for assault and needed $5,000 bail money. My mom, not easily fooled, called me right away. Are you in jail? She asked. No, Mom, I said. I'm literally at work. Turns out Veronica's cousin Jasmine had decided to defend family honor by trying to scam my relatives. Her reasoning was that I had gotten Veronica locked up, so I owed them. She combed through my social media, created fake profiles, and started blasting my family with messages. My sister got one saying I was hospitalized. My dad got one claiming I'd been kidnapped. My uncle got one about emergency surgery bills. Fortunately, my family knows better and called me directly every time. But Jasmine didn't stop there. She went after my workplace, thanks to my LinkedIn profile, leaving fake reviews accusing me of being a predator. She signed me up for hundreds of spam newsletters. She even called my utility companies pretending to be me, trying to get my services shut off. Luckily, passwords exist for a reason, so none of that worked. I filed a police report, and the same detective from Veronica's case just laughed when he heard Jasmine's name. We know her, he said. Not exactly a genius. They arrested her 2 days later. Get this. She was pulling all of this from her work computer at a law firm where she was a receptionist. Keyword was. She got fired immediately. Her charges? Harassment, attempted fraud, and cyberstalking. She's looking at 6 months to a year behind bars. At her arraignment, which I attended, Jasmine stood there insisting she was just defending her family's honor. The judge asked if she understood her cousin had been convicted of fraud. Jasmine's answer: that doesn't matter. Family is family. The judge's response: family is going to jail then. And then came the twist ending I never expected. Remember that notebook they found with Veronica? The so-called revenge book? Well, detectives recently dug deeper into her hotel room and found her real notebook. It wasn't a revenge fantasy, it was an actual ledger. She had been keeping meticulous records of every single scam she'd pulled for 6 years. Names, dates, restaurants, amounts. Like some warped bookkeeper. The grand total? $273,000. That figure doesn't even include identity theft, credit card fraud, or her fake rental schemes. That was just her dining and borrowing scams. Nearly 300 grand over 6 years, conning people over meals and small cash loans. It was basically her full-time job. Now the case has gone federal because she crossed state lines with her fraud. When you stack all the charges across 3 states, she could be facing up to 20 years. And all of it unraveled because she didn't want to pay for her own lobster dinner. The detective told me this whole saga is now part of law enforcement training material. There's literally going to be a conference presentation titled something like, How Instagram Posts and Lobster Dinners Exposed a Fraud Ring. Since then, I've been getting messages from people she conned over the years, thanking me for helping bring her down. One guy from another state said she tricked him out of $2,000 with a fake investment pitch. Another woman said she lost $5,000 to a fake charity Veronica had set up. A restaurant even sent me a gift card as a thank you for your service to the community. I've used it 3 times this month. I steer clear of the lobster. As for me, the biggest takeaway is this. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. I ignored the warning signs because I thought we were friends. Never again. And if anyone ever tries to stick you with the bill for lobster, call their bluff. You never know. They might already have 3 warrants waiting for them. And before anyone asks again, yes, I've got all the paperwork, but no, I won't be sharing personal case numbers. And if you think you recognize her name, do yourself a favor. Check your credit report.